that they'd make her beautiful, and they did. One supposes Douglas Fairbanks, he was so handsome, he wore a mustache, must have had much cash too, worth the king's ransom. Charlie Chaplin, he was invited when these artists became united. When these artists became united. David Griffith worked as an extra, then as a stagehand, until they let him be a director. Dave was
Katie joins us now live. I particularly enjoyed that special effect of the large bird landing on.
I know, that
Griffith's
footage
head.
was so funny. I couldn't believe it that we found so many of it. And there's even footage actually in the video of the 4 actors forming United Artists.
Oh, the moment they're signing the document?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why Mary Pickford?
Well, funnily enough, it's actually a little bit of a fluke. I was in the studio with my producer, and he had one of those sort of calendars that has silly facts on it. And on this particular day, it said that Mary Pickford used to eat roses, and she did this to stay beautiful. It was like her beauty regime. Oh. And Mike was kind of fascinated by this and did a bit of research into her and find out that she was one of the most famous sort of one of the first Hollywood actresses to be absolutely huge, and as well as being very beautiful and kind of had this sort of girl next door image, she was a very pioneering lady and formed United Artists, which is the first.
I mean, you know, you think about the power of the unions, the power of the producers.
Yeah.
Here's this, you know, female actress coming along and actually subverting all that.
Yeah, it was incredible, and you know, back in the day, big sort of movie companies really used to own actors. They had complete control over them, a little bit like record companies do these days.
I don't know what you mean.
So yeah, they were really pioneering, and they kind of formed their own independent company.
I suppose the generation of people, I mean, they're not all, to speak callously, I mean, they've not all died off, but the majority have. The people who grew up with silent movies, remember silent movies, grew up with Charlie Chaplin. They've kind of all, you know, they've passed on. So you're re-educating a new audience to what they did.
Well, I suppose, yeah, you could look at it that way. I mean, I just found it quite
some of your fans who've never seen us. Yeah,
and, you know, it was just fascinating to have something so quirky in a song. And, yeah, you get a little bit of a Hollywood history lesson in there as well.
And of that gang who formed United Artists, I mean, we all, well, I say we all know again, I'm sure there's some of your fans who've never heard of Charlie Chaplin, but, you know, it's just the way life moves on.
Absolutely.
But Mary Pickford is an obscure figure even by the standards of people of a certain age.
She is, and she was, you know, just so huge in her day, absolutely massive. So it's, you know, it's brilliant to kind of talk about her and also talk about the sort of beauty regime that she had, you know, back in the day.
You've clearly reached a stage in your career where you can actually just take yourself off in a certain direction on the basis of what you read on a calendar, which is a wonderful place to be, I imagine. There's a lot of creative freedom. Yeah,
definitely. I do think it's important not to take yourself too seriously sometimes. And you know, if you want to talk about something fun in a song, then you should. You know, often music can be taken a little bit too seriously, so it's good to have a bit of a laugh.
It can be taken too seriously, and it can have a serious effect on you. I mean, you in a sense, you belong, at least in terms of when you came along, to that generation of female singers, songwriters that include, inevitably, I'm going to mention this, Amy Winehouse, and I know she was playing last night. She's had her problems. What do you make of that? The pressure that's brought to bear. How do you deal with that pressure yourself?
I think it's something that's really, you know, it happens really easily because. I think when you become quite well known, you have a lifestyle that isn't normal, and
you resort to eating rose petals.
Well, yeah, exactly. And if you're a little bit vulnerable, and I think all of us are vulnerable, you know, if you're put under that much pressure, it's really easy to, you know, I suppose just kind of lose it. And I feel, you know, I do feel sorry for her, and I hope that, you know, she gets better.
I mean, do you talk to people in the industry about maybe advice that can be given, about support that can be given, or is it just, in a sense, you're a voyeur looking on from the sidelines, just thinking, gosh, I hope this woman can sort this out?
I know, you kind of are. The thing is, I'm with an independent label, and they've been really good in working with me and telling me from the start how to kind of avoid, I'm not even talking about drugs, but how to avoid being in the press for the wrong reasons. And that was something, you know, I really wanted to make sure from the start. I kind of wanted to be known for my music rather than my personality, what I looked like, you know, where I partied. And they kind of gave me advice from the beginning of how to achieve that. And so they didn't put pressure on me to getting the press to sell lots of records. And I think having the right advice around you is very important.
I didn't realise how many records you've shifted. It's a colossal number. What have you got planned?
At the moment, you know, I've just got my album out, you know, obviously Mary Pickford coming out, and then I'll be doing a tour next year.
And keeping across events in Georgia.
Yeah, it's been
Just explain to people who don't know your complex background.
Yeah, I'm from Georgia. My whole family's from there.
You moved to Belfast?
Yes, when I was 8, but I've gone back to Georgia every year.
Wow. And you've recently become a naturalised Briton, so finally you've got your hands on a UK passport. British
Yes,
passport.
I have, yeah.
Does that matter to you?
Well, yeah, actually, for travelling it was brilliant because I had to get a visa to go to France, even though I'd lived in the UK for like, you know, 8 years. But funnily enough, even though we were getting it for quite practical reasons, being there, it was quite emotional because, you know, I've lived in this country for like, you know, 12 years now.
You're a fully paid up Brit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Katie Melua, lovely to talk to you.
You too.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks.
This is Sky News on our website.